Welcome back to Monida's newsroom, where we have honest conversations with the people building Africa's future. Today, we are taking a deep dive into Nigeria's agricultural value chain, why agriculture matters, when Nigeria keeps getting it wrong, and what we finally need to do to get it right. My guest today is Nkechi, the managing director of Domina. Under her leadership, Domina is not just growing crops, they are moving into feed, starting with poultry, and proving that if Africa wants to build itself, it must own its own value chains from farm to feed. Nkechi, welcome to Newsroom.
Thank you, Joy.
We see that Nigeria produces a lot of food. Talk about rice, potatoes, tomatoes, yam, maize. But for some reason, we import the food that we eat. Why do you think that is?
It's simple. It's because we focus mainly on production. And this is a problem not just in the agri-value chain or in Nigeria. It's a problem that we generally have as Africans, you know. Because we are blessed with raw materials, we sometimes, I think we've just gotten into that space where we've just become lazy and we just think it's about harvesting and selling. You know, we haven't really invested much into processing. And so we're stuck importing food stuff or food items. So I'll ask you a question. If I plant maize and I harvest the maize on the cob and I give it to you, how will you eat it? You boil it. Now, for us in Africa, we are okay just eating that corn on the cob. Whereas we can process it, we can add value to it, and then we make things like cornflakes, golden morn. Various snacks can come from processing maize. But you see, when we don't add value to this maize, we are stuck eating it as maize. But we are human beings, we want variety, right? So you see that we have to import food. So this is the reason why it's simple, because we focus on production only.
Why has it been so difficult to build value chain in Nigeria?
It's simply a lack of vision. There are many reasons, but I'd like to start with vision, lack of vision thereof, because you find that where you lack vision, you will have many gaps. So for us here, I mean, I can't exhaust all the reasons, but you see vision, which leads to infrastructural gaps, which leads to lack of integration, which, of course, you now see where you have cases of high interest rates or lack of funding. Vision is key for me because I believe that if you have vision, you can build anything. Take Dubai, for instance. Dubai used to be a desert, but Dubai is like the most beautiful place to live in now. Why is that so? It's vision. Somebody sat, created a vision for the country and put together a team of people who could help him achieve or visualize those visions, and then they began to build infrastructure to bring this vision to life. You know, so they didn't stop at having it here. They put systems in place to actually bring those visions to life. You know, and when this happened, we began to see infrastructural developments, we began to see integration, we began to see influx of capital, because when you're building stuff, money comes, money chases value, right? So the vision is what we lack, I would say, in Nigeria and in Africa. Once we have leaders or people with vision step up and come out, we'll begin to see real changes in value chains, especially agri-value chains.
So our problem is lack of vision.
Yes.
What is your vision for Domina?
The vision for Domina is big. So, backstory. Domina started as an agri-commodities trading business and, well, registered 2022 and then started proprietary trading in 2023. But I mean, it goes against what we preach at Monida, right? Where we talk about value addition to Africa. And we started to think about it to say, okay, we can't join the bandwagon to say we're just trading our commodities. and not adding value, because you have to practice what you preach, right? So we started looking at the commodities that we traded. In 2024, we traded about 200,000 metric tons of maize. And maize was a major commodity for us, and we started to think about it, that what value could we add to maize? And then what we saw was prices of eggs, right? Prices of eggs were skyrocketing. I think now we're buying eggs like 300 naira for one egg.
You don't know how much one, but I know how much it creates is like 6K.
6K divided by 30, so that's 300 naira. So we started to think, to say, okay, how can we join forces to reduce this cost? And we looked at it and we came to the conclusion that producing feed would help, right? And finding optimal formulas which will drastically reduce cost. And so that's how we started looking at Domino Feed. We're also looking at soya beans. Well, because soya beans is an interesting crop, very interesting crop. We're looking at soya beans cake, soya meal that can be exported. We're also looking into spices, because the spice market is $1 billion market. You would be fascinated if you see the numbers. Yeah, your mind will be blown away.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so these are the things this is the vision for Domina. Domina will go into processing, but we are taking it one step at a time.
Very ambitious vision.
Yes.
So you listed a couple of things that you are looking at. Which one have you started working on?
Oh, we've started working on Domino Feeds, and we're launching 2 products. We're launching Domino broiler feed, broiler starter, and layer mash. So these are the 2 variants that we're bringing to the market come May, all things being equal. It has been an exciting journey for us, going through the process, checking formulations, testing, buying birds, white birds, because we've gone the 9 yards. We formulated we've come up with different formulas. We keep buying birds from time to time, testing our formulas, just to ensure that we're selling value to the market, and not just joining the people who are selling feed that are not that do not make the birds very productive. And we started with broiler and layer because broiler, I like to eat chicken a lot.
I love chicken.
Yeah.
And I think it's so real too.
Oh, that's good. So for broiler, we are trying to achieve a 1.5, 1.8 kg within 6 weeks with Domino Feed. And then for layer mash, we're trying to achieve maximum egg production by the birds from 14 weeks. 14 to 15 weeks, right? So these are the 2 things that we have started at Domina.
Okay, wonderful work in kitchen.
Thank you.
So let's talk numbers now. How much do you think we are leaving on the table is our underdeveloped agricultural value chain?
If you look at the agricultural value chain as a whole, we're leaving trillions of naira, billions of dollars on the table. I can't give you specific numbers now for every part of the industry, but if we look at feed, for instance, we're a population of 200 people in Nigeria. Imagine, no matter how poor people are in Nigeria, they try to eat chicken at least once a year, right? But let's even say, okay, some people are so poor they cannot eat chicken. We would say that 150 million people are eating chicken. So imagine 1 kilo of chicken per family, per 150 people. Just think about it. So we consume about 5 million metric tons of feed in Nigeria, which comes in the billions of dollars. So we're leaving at least $30 billion on the table. At least.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's insane.
Now we've talked about the financial aspect. What do you think socially, what is the effect of our underdeveloped agricultural value chain? How does it affect the people, the farmers?
Well, firstly, it affects the farmers in ways where, now this is a bit sad, because when you don't invest in value chains, it means that the farmers will never get real value for the crops that they plant, right? And so this takes away jobs, it takes away money from table. The farmers remain poor. Most Nigerian farmers are poor, right? They are very poor. You find a lot of youths, they don't have jobs. Development doesn't come through, because again, if we invest in value chains, it means we'll be investing in infrastructure. For instance, we are still transporting grains using trucks, 30 to 50 metric ton trucks per time. Whereas in civilized countries, they are moving grains on trains. One coach is 30 metric ton, and a train can have 20 coaches, right? Which means they are able to move at least 600 tons per trip. Imagine the number of jobs that train system creates. It creates jobs for the farmers. It creates jobs for the people who will operate the train. It creates jobs for the people who will load the train. Like, the value is endless. And so when we don't invest in our value chains, these are the things that we leave on the table. These are the things that we miss out on as an economy.
It's interesting because agriculture is the biggest employer of the labor market. So it's interesting that as the biggest employer of labor markets, the value chain is still underdeveloped.
Yes, and it still comes, if you think about it, it still comes from the fact that we don't have vision. We don't have the adequate vision to drive the industry. You know, what kind of jobs, if we say, okay, agriculture is the highest employer of labor now, let's think about it. What are the levels of jobs that we are seeing in the space? You know, you create jobs for the farmers. The farmer has to bend his back, till the soil, be in the sun every day for at least, if he's planting maize, for at least 4 months. He's monitoring his crops. He has to work on acres of land. At the end of the day, what does he get in return? There's importation, which crashes prices, which means he will never reap the real fruit of his labor. So it's not just to say agriculture is the biggest employer of labor. What kind of labor is it really? Is it really bringing to the table? You know, and then you find there are a lot of menial jobs around the agri value chain. Loaders. If I'm loading a truck today, I'll hire loaders. And I'll
Driver for the truck.
There's a driver for the truck. There'll be an escort on the truck. The driver will have an assistant. That's 3 people already. Then I'll have loaders. At least 10 people will load one truck. And it's real manual loading. They are carrying bags on their shoulders and passing to themselves on the truck. So yes, it's the biggest employer of labor, but I still question the value of the labor that it's creating. So until we see vision-driven building being done in this sector, we still have a long way to go.
So what are the challenges Domina has faced trying to localize the value chain?
Domino has faced quite a number of challenges, but I will just mention a few. We have faced challenges with long-term capital. I did mention earlier that agriculture requires patience, right? We have faced that challenge where we don't get to hold on to capital for so long, and so it causes a lot of disruptions for us. We've also faced challenges with logistics. Logistics is a major problem in this space. It is incredible the challenges that we see in the space. And then storage is a big problem also. The farmers don't have access to storage, and so you find that sometimes they harvest their crops, and by the time they stack them in their small spaces that they've created, there's some infestation that might have happened. You know, even for us at Domina, we're constantly evolving with our warehousing structures. You know, so these are some of the challenges that we have faced, and they keep rearing their heads everywhere we go. But I mean, we do what we have to do to keep going.
If you could change one thing in the agricultural sector, what would it be?
It would be incentivizing the industry, incentivizing value chains. I agriculture is unfortunately and fortunately one area that we must focus on, and ensuring that people find reason to come into this space, and they find ease of business coming into this space. So I would say incentivizing agri-processing, and this is because it requires a lot of patience, and agriculture is capital intensive. It is capital intensive, and so the government must, or I would advocate for policies that incentivize agro-processing so that we can see more capital come into the system, both for primary production and for secondary production.
Okay, finally, what would you say to young people looking at the agricultural sector today? So not just production, not farming, the entire value chain.
The opportunity is there. Do not be fooled by what you see in the media, where agriculture is made to look as though it is not lucrative. No, it is lucrative, and it carries a whole lot of opportunities. What I would say to young entrepreneurs is do your homework, look as many value chains as you want to, and pitch your tent in one space and grow from there. Don't be afraid to start small, because whatever you start in the agri-business today has potential to grow tomorrow. So just do it.
Thank you for coming on Newsroom today, Nkechi.
Thank you for having me.
It's such an insightful session. Thank you so much for joining Newsroom today. And for the young people out there who are looking into the agricultural value chain, I hope you have learned from what she has said. See you next time.